horrific mass of spiked bone and glistening overgrown tendons, sprawling like ivy over its hulking bipedal frame. A red mist forcefully exhausts out of its pores along its neck and chest with every heaving breath, like a spouting kettle of boiling blood. It's hard to remember that there's a human inside of that monstrous Animus reactor armor. It suddenly extrudes a lance of bone from its right forearm and bursts forward, imperceptibly fast, aiming directly at my sword arm. My back is pressed against the cold concrete tower behind me. I want to dodge, but every muscle in my body is so taut that it feels like they'll snap if I move. I close my eyes instinctively in a panic, but my Animus, Belial, grabs a hold and forces them back open.
Eyes forward. It will strike again.
The lance rockets into me. My sword arm explodes inside my armor. A scream begins to claw its way out of my throat, but collapses into a whimper as all sensation is muted. Belial pumps a toxic volume of painkillers into me, then flushes my system so I don't go into shock. There are only impressions of anguish left. I feel what's left of my fingertips unfurl like blooming petals, and the skin of my forearm is peeled back in strips. The base of my bicep is open, and everything below is pulled out. A moment later, there's something rigid in its place, warmth that fills my shoulder, chest, and neck. My arm can move again, but it's all wrong. I've been fused to the interior of the armor. My hand is now Belial's, a grotesque claw with chromed spikes for fingers.
Prosthesis installed. Fight!
The mass of meat and bone leaps backwards, aligns the point of its lance with my eye line. It charges. My newly shared hand can lift my sword fast enough to deflect the attack, and that is enough. I use the momentum of the parry to spin against the length of the lance and towards my enemy, leaving a cascade of sparks in my wake.
Transtemporal thrust engaged.
Belial bends time around me, accelerating my spin with a ripcord pull of sickening speed. My neck tightens as I struggle to stay conscious. I reposition my blade.
Disengaging transtemporal thrust.
I fire out like a bullet, crashing my blade into the enemy Animus's temple. The armor can't be destroyed, but I feel its host's head give in like a rotten pumpkin. Its body spasms. I pull the blade out and leap backwards, knowing what comes next. For something that feeds off of the death of its hosts, Animus reactors are vengeful all the same. With a rattlesnake hiss, shuddering bone quills grow off of its armor, and then fire out with so much force that a dust cloud erupts around the body. Belial wrenches my head back and something painfully pops in my throat, but it's just in time to avoid a quill punching through my jaw. I hear the dull crunch of the quills impaling the tower behind me, followed by a sharp crack as the concrete fractures, connecting the dots of each puncture. Belial is already working to repair my throat as I watch the dust settle, dimly revealing the corpse armor. Rising. It then snaps into a rigid posture, a puppet with every string suddenly pulled. The host is dead, but it stares directly at us. My panic increases. I've seen other ones somehow fight without an active host before, for brief moments. Luckily, its precepts activate. It turns away from us slowly and begins marching into the distance with a steady, mechanical gait. Belial growls after it, and I feel my panic crumble beneath the weight of their seething resentment.
We have been marked. Its next host will come for us.
I wait until the corpse armor is out of sight. The nausea that I've been building since I lost my arm finally crests. Belial retracts its face, revealing mine. Now that we're fused, neither of us wants me puking inside. I gather myself and turn back to the building. I kneel, gathering energy, then leap up the wall, running upwards in enormous strides that impact like a sledgehammer, every step showering the street below with broken concrete. At least 12 stories up, There are components that will let us maintain the settlement's generator for months. Belial's sensors tense, pulling my attention upwards to the component's location, as well as to several points in the distance. Closing in fast. It doesn't need to speak. More reactors are coming after me. I'll need to grab what I can and flee, or the next heir to inherit Belial will have to scrape my remains from its interior.
Do not be afraid.
Belial's words bite down on the edge of my thoughts.
Your death will have meaning.